Hello and welcome. This is one of the companies that pioneered in some ways the verticalization of offerings in the BPO space or the BPS space. I'm speaking with Vipul Khanna, head of the BPS division of Cognizant Technology Solutions. Vipul, thank you very much for speaking with us. So first question, there has been a bit of an uptick in some of the Western economies. UK, Europe has come out of recession, US of course is looking stronger. What has all this meant for someone like you?
So we're seeing pretty strong demand across segments. Our primary focus in banking, insurance, healthcare, life sciences. In different ways, all of them are showing their own either macro pressures or sort of the drive towards reinvention, what we call as like, get to the better part and get to the different part. A lot of global deals, so not just India-focused deals, but multi-geo, including North America or European delivery. A lot of appetite, especially for mature buyers, for doing fairly big transformation deals and looking at things in a bundle. That I want operations, I want IT, I want the underlying hosting. So I care about the outcome or the transaction, right? I want to buy like a trade from you, a processing of trade, not a component of it, and not IT from someone else, etc. So early days, a lot of interest, fairly complex deals, but the demand environment looks pretty solid.
So can you tell me, illustratively, one or two deals which are fundamentally different from what you would have done even a year ago or earlier?
Sure. So healthcare has a lot of incentive to change and be ready for sort of the new environment. Their appetite or their pressure to get cost savings is fairly significant, and yet at the same time they need to fund readiness for the new era. So there is appetite for companies to say, can you take care of my entire administrative part? When I say administrative, is everything from how I work with my providers versus my claims and medical management and stuff. So effectively in their terms, can I get a per member per month sort of service from you, which moves up and down relative to my business volume, and buy it in entire stack, as I said, right? Services, medical management, IT, infrastructure, etc. A lot of appetite, whether through a partner system or even monetizing of client systems. Right. Similarly, in banking, we're seeing a lot of drive towards, can we go towards a utility model? Earlier, in the, let's say 10, 15 years ago, that was on a shared basis. Banks owned those infra companies. Now they're willing to go to an anchor third-party provider, and then other banks sort of join that platform as a utility buyer. So there is appetite for that.
Right. So I'm assuming that you, like many other companies and peers, are going up the value chain, or the level of value addition is increasing all the time. How do you contrast that with your headcount numbers, and how's it been in the last year or so?
So clearly there is staying a big chunk of business which is traditional, right? Lift and shift. Clients teach us, we improve it over time and kind of do that. But I think in all these, when we do IT BP or when we do stack, our opportunity to introduce our platforms or partner solutions. And sort of when I say our solutions, it means it's institutionalizing the IP that we have about that process into it, right? So that allows us, I think, to sell at a premium relative to a pure sort of lift and shift service. So clearly unmistakable trend towards higher value and effectively so higher revenue per FTE. And for a client standpoint, they are looking at the total cost of the service, not just stripping out the labor component of it.
So what's this percentage, if there is one, of processes that are actually driven by IP owned by you in your basket of services?
Again, these are, I would say, still a small percentage of revenue, but a lot of conversation. These are fairly large, complex deals. It takes a while to put them together, get a handle on the risk for them and for us. But the engagement of making these and not just academic interest, I think is very high.
Right. And how do you, which in some ways leads to the talent and the supply side, how are you broadly seeing this issue? This has been sort of discussed quite widely here at Nasscom because of a BPM perception study, which seems to say that talent is not exactly, or at least not at all levels, is rushing towards the BPO industry.
Well, so I think the same study also says that once people cross the threshold, then they stay.
4 years, yeah.
Right? They said 4 years, you could argue here or there, but yeah, absolutely. I think that trend is there. Because then you really appreciate the global exposure, working with the global best in class in terms of whether it's banking or healthcare or life sciences, insurance, what have you. From our standpoint, the more we are going towards these IP based or outcome based thing, it needs a layer of expertise which in some cases may not yet be existent. Or let me put another way, we don't know what we don't know in some of the industries, right? So we started to supplement with sort of global talent, regardless of where they are, and some also even inviting to come here. So like for our global clinical services, we recently hired a chief medical officer who's like a doctor by profession and who interfaces with the CMOs of insurance companies, right? What is that insurance company's prescribed treatment for this? So that level of engagement.
And where does this person sit?
He's currently in the US because that's where the clientele is. But the body of knowledge where we get this work done, largely in Philippines and India, that interacts with sort of this position to get that knowledge distributed in a much wider base. And this talent itself, which is doing, is all registered nurses or US nurses. So the combination is good, but the journey is kind of to continue go on the value chain.
Right. So talent in India, how are you seeing that supply at this point? I mean, I know you need more than there are available, and your filters, I'm sure, are strong and high. But how are you coping?
So mix of both. There's obviously very strong emphasis on internal training to develop the talent, but I think we've grown pretty reasonably well in the last 2 or 3 years. Talent supply has been there to support it. Obviously, the sourcing team needs to work hard. The referral channels and the fact that we say, hey, you're joining a banking career or a healthcare career or a life sciences career or whatever, no different from joining an Indian bank or an Indian insurance company. I think that's
and people buy that?
They're starting to buy it. And you say, when you join this, make your career right here. And you can be a VP with only 3 people reporting to you because you are the expert. It's a journey, not that very many people have reached here, but in our research and analytics, in a life sciences practice, there are directors who head like biostatistics, programming and stuff, who don't have massive amount of teams, but they still get that talent. So they're not caught up in like, I need to have like 500 people reporting to me before I become a director or something. So
and this year is also a sort of fundamental shift from the way some of these people were positioned in companies like yours, let's say 4 or 5 years ago.
In a way that
this has been there, right? The specialization or these units of specialization have existed.
They have, but it's been broadly lumped as BPO. It's like this is like career in healthcare, and then bring everything together to kind of make your career in that or in banking. And we've set ourselves internally a target that if I have 100 people working on it, have stacks of like 50, 40, 10. 50 people core doers, 40 practitioners, and 10 set a goal for being the SMEs and true global SMEs who can stand their own against, the client's sort of SMEs. And that invariably means obviously deep level of experience, but also fair amount of external certifications and validations, right? Again, I'm not saying we've reached there, but the framework is there, the investment is there, and people are starting to kind of inch up this sort of value pyramid as well.
Right. Last question. So how's the rest of the financial year looking for you? I mean, if let's take financial year as going up till March of next year.
So we do on calendar year basis, being a US listed company. I think our quarterly results came out. I think we...
so let me not bind you to a numbers question. I mean, let me ask you in general, how's the year ahead looking?
Year is looking like pretty solid pipeline. The challenge of execution lies ahead.
Right. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Thank you.